Okay, so this head-to-head might not seem to make sense. One of these cars has 2/3 the cylinders of the other, and 2/3 the horsepower as well. Less horsepower means less performance, and the little guy here is a second slower to 60 miles an hour, and a second slower over the quarter mile too. So why is Subaru's new BRZ Coupe sitting here with a performance pack equipped Ford Mustang V6? Well, like Ford's iconic pony car, Subaru's new age coupe is one of the best driver's cars you can buy for under $30,000. But is it a better driver's car than the Mustang? Carroll Shelby once sneeringly described the original Mustang as a nice little secretary's car. And no wonder, most of those original Mustangs came with the same wheezy straight six as your grandma's Falcon. But that was before old Shell put some muscle into the Mustang in 1965, creating the Shelby GT350. That came with a massaged 289 cubic inch V8 under the hood that delivered 306 horsepower. Nearly half a century later, you can still buy a 6-cylinder Mustang. But this 6-cylinder Mustang is no secretary's car, because this 6-cylinder Mustang has just 1 horsepower less than that original GT350. Subaru BRZ is the product of an unusual joint venture between Toyota and Subaru. Toyota planned and designed the car, while Subaru engineered it and manufactures it. The BRZ is the world's only front-engine, rear-drive sports car powered by a Boxer engine. The Subaru 2-litre 4 features an all-new block and direct injection from Toyota. Keeping the centre of gravity as low as possible was one of the key design goals for the BRZ, and the engineers have made the most of the flat-4 engine's obvious advantage in this area. The top of the powertrain in this car is no higher than my knee. Two very different cars with the same mission, to make you smile on a winding road. So let's see how they go. You know, I've always hated the V6 Mustang. I remember signing one out of the Motor Trend garage a few years ago. I drove it onto the street, I drove it around the block, and I drove it straight back again. That 4-litre V6 was awful. Rough, raspy, sluggish. It was a boat anchor. This 3.7-litre V6 though is very nice. It's not the world's most sparkling V6, but it's smooth and punchy. You don't feel like you're driving a tractor. The chassis balance is excellent, the front end grip terrific, and of course the Mustang has the best ever steering of any mainstream American car. You can feel how aggressive the Pirelli P0 tyres are. The car really dives into the corners, but you can get on the gas, balance the chassis, and really flow this car down a canyon road. And of course there's a little less weight over the front of the car than compared with the V8 version. There's a slight oiliness to the feedback through the Mustang's controls, and that takes the edge off the harsher road impacts. And though there's some body roll through the turns, it's well controlled. It's only every now and then when you get a mid-corner lump and bump that you're reminded that this has a live rear axle. Now, it might have the best live rear axle ever, but that's a bit like saying you're the healthiest guy in intensive care. All in all though, this is a pretty good driver's car for the money. It turns in nicely into corners, punches out well. You can play with it, you know, you can switch the traction control off and drift it around, play with the throttle and the steering and the braking. It's a lot of fun to drive. The only thing I don't like about it is the brake feel. It's really just a little spongy on the initial application of the pedal. It's not quite as confidence-inspiring as I'd like. And to be honest, I've never been a fan of Ford brakes. They just always seem to be, you know, just a day late and a dollar short. But even so, this is a hell of a value. Well, first thing you notice about the Subaru BRZ is how light and dainty it feels. This is a car you caress down the canyon road with your fingertips. The responses are more direct, more accurate. There's less input to make the Subaru do the things you want it to do. You sit lower, you feel more like you're in a sports car. The ride's a little firmer, the steering's a little crisper. This car is the more direct connection with the road. Now, there's not a lot of power. The little flat 4 has to be kept revving fairly hard to get you through these roads with any sort of speed, but actually that's not really a chore. The 6-speed gearbox that's used in the Lexus IS 350, among other things, is pretty direct and easy to use. The pedals are well placed, you can heel and toe, it's a breeze, and the brake feel is terrific. This whole car just dances down the road. It reminds me a lot of the original Mazda Miata. It's a different car, it's a little bit bigger, but it feels light on its feet. It feels like a car that you can drive to the utter limits of the chassis and of your ability. And it proves that you don't necessarily need a mass of horsepower to have fun and go fast. This thing is such a sweetheart. Okay, so the Subaru BRZ feels lighter, more agile, more nimble, more entertaining than the Mustang out here on the canyon roads. But how much of a difference does horsepower really make? To find out, we'll head to the track where Randy Popes is going to take both these cars to the limit.
Coming on the front straightaway in the Subaru BRZ, we're going to do a lap of Willow Springs. The engine's happy at high revs. I wouldn't say it's like an Acura VTEC though. Through the high-speed sweeper, we're planted, just flat out, late on the brakes. Good braking feel. Turning in, excellent turn in. We're balanced. We've got a high exit speed and a high apex speed. Don't have to slow down too much in the Subaru. Very satisfying car. Balanced around that turn 3, sweeper, gonna try third gear, and not a whole lot of low end torque. The Subaru's a balanced car. I can just keep my foot down and just drive this car, just drive it. The revs build, but it's not a crazy change to a higher power band like the Acura's VTECs are. Around the banked corner, I think they call it turn 8. Subaru's an easy car to drive. I mean, I can push it hard at low risk. Low risk is important here in turn 9 because we fly over these wheels. Very bumpy, excellent behavior. Great braking. Pretty balanced even when I'm driving it really hard and aggressively. Excellent car transitionally. Don't see the body roll as coming up as a problem. Back on the front straight, aggressive enough to be able to spin the tires, across the finish line. A fun car, very driver oriented. Okay, here we are in the Mustang V6 Track Pack. Starting a lap at Willow Springs. Got more power than the Subaru. It's running good on the straightaway. Stable in the kink, but boy, it's moving around. There's some brake dive here, down to second. Got the power to spin the tires. It's a V6, but it's a powerful one. In the old days, a V6 was the win. Good balance in the middle of the corner. Oh, second gear will take me all the way to the corner. It's a longer gear. Don't have to do as much shifting. That's good because the shifter's not as accurate. A lot of body motion and body roll, but still has good steering response. Doesn't have that kind of race car feel that the Subaru does. You can tell you're in a big car. There's a lot going on here. Right up to the edge, tacking it out. We're at 90, going to 100, entering turn 9. she's bouncing around. Kind of a wild ride through there. Into turn 10. Puts down power well. These are good tires. These Pirellis have got some stick. The Mustang's got good balance, but boy, it has a lot of body motion. We're in the last corner, heading for the straightaway. Putting the power down well. Crossing the finish line in the Mustang. It's a fun car to drive, but not the driver's car that the Subaru is.
You said it, Randy. The Mustang's taut, crisp, retro-cool styling is wonderful. Its steering terrific and the chassis surprisingly capable. And with the $1,995 performance package fitted, the V6 Mustang delivers terrific bang for the buck if you're after a low-cost, fun-to-drive coupe. After all, 0 to 60 in 5.3 seconds and a 13.9-second quarter mile means this 21st century version of Ford's nice little secretary's car is actually quicker than Carroll Shelby's original GT350. However, raw numbers don't necessarily make a great driver's car. The little Subaru won't match the Mustang on the drag strip and proved almost a second and a half slower around Willow Springs during Randy's hot lap session. But the big Fords simply can't match the surgical precision and joyous feedback you get from the BRZ's steering, brakes and chassis. If you love driving, if you love a car that will reward you for accuracy and smoothness, and yet will also let you play fast and loose when you want to, then the Subaru BRZ will have you grinning from ear to ear every time you gun that 2-litre boxer 4.